Oh, I can add hello. Hey, we are live. Welcome to episode 21 of Total Health Live. This is the episode where this Total Health Live is finally old enough to drink. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Vogelmann, and our other co-host, the lovely, talented Monika Klein, star of stage, screen, television, and all things nutritional.
And backyard theater.
Backyard theater. Yeah. I need me some backyard theater. Yes. I'm not going to swallow my mic today, though. Just to let you know.
21, adult. We're
21.
We're adulting now.
Welcome to the adult version of this show.
So now we can be adult about what we need to do to keep ourselves safe and healthy.
Healthy, and not anxious. No more anxiety. No more anxiety. Yes. Yeah, so we seem to be COVID-19 is back in the news these days in circles of health and.
Did it ever leave?
Economy? No, it didn't leave. It just took a little breather until Memorial Day.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's back in full force in the USA.
We're number one. There
you go. So USA number one, and last week we were talking about Brazil and India's numbers going up and up.
India.
And I saw some interesting infographics today on the Dr. John Campbell YouTube video of Indonesia. Indonesia has all these interesting infographics on, like, as billboards almost. I mean, they're not that large, but they're just simple little infographics.
Are they Indographics?
They're infographics.
Sorry.
You know, it's like if you don't do this, you affect this many people 2.5 times, and those 2.5 times infect those two, and then it becomes a mass.
It looks a bit like a downline for a multi-level marketing company.
And it's exactly that. It's exactly what happens.
Your friend infects your friend, infects your friend, and before you know it, your downline grows. So,
your infected downline grows.
If you only could be rewarded for infecting people, but there is no reward for that.
No, it's tragedy, actually.
Yeah. So we should probably go back to, instead of dwelling everything on tragedy, we can also mention a few things that you talk about. You like to mention things about boosting your immune system, which I think is the overall thing we should start with and end with when we get into the nitty gritty into here.
Who's back?
It's Chewie, Big Chewie. Where's Han Solo? Big Chewie is back.
Big Chewie's back. And, food is really helpful to build your immune system, to help you feel healthy. But here are some other, common everyday. Oh my goodness, this
what you got in your hands?
This garlic is sort of garlic, excellent immune enhancer. Red onion, excellent immune enhancer.
Red versus yellow?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, red. Now, what's the ingredient in red onion that is so important for immune health?
It's not red dye number 5.
No.
This comes from nature.
I remember what it is now. I'm just blanking.
All right, we'll put it in the comments later.
We'll put it in the comments,
or you'll remember.
So, even though these aren't necessarily immune enhancing, all vegetables and good healthy foods will help you. So beets. The beet.
You can't beat them.
The beet goes on. I'm kind of surprised how many people don't know how to prepare beets, actually.
Well, I've had them in juicers, raw and steamed and pickled, and I don't know what else. How else do you do it? Saute them?
Yeah. So I just boil them in water
beets
until they're, somewhat soft. And then as soon as they're finished being boiled and they're ready, I put them under cold water, and the skin just peels right off. Some people don't peel the skin, and you have to peel the skin. You have to. So
it's appealing.
It's appealing when it's
peeled.
Yes.
Got it.
And this is so healthy for liver health. This is such a great liver health and gallbladder health. Beets are excellent. So
and celery, we were reading lately, celery juice is a good liver cleanser. So.
There's so many good liver things, but your liver is an important organ in the body.
Especially mine.
To help detox and to also support your immune system. Everything functions together. So That's good. And then I have an organic yam here. We love yams.
Yeah, to the
It
yam.
doesn't have a name. No, it doesn't have
There's no name for your yam.
A.Y. Thomas. Jewel yam. It's a jewel yam. So
Julie Yam? It's not Julian? Julie Yam.
No, it's jewel yam. Julium.
For July? Julium.
Yes, there you go. For Julius Caesar. Yes. So I'm going to put this in the oven later.
Oh, you're going to drop it into the comments section.
Drop it into the comments section.
And you can all take a look at Monika's yam.
And what I would like you to do is in the comments section, tell me what vegetables you're enjoying these days, and just share with us what you love to eat, because vegetables are so critical for health and your immune health. Garlic, if you can't eat it, just take a supplement of it.
Or
take a garlic supplement.
They used to recommend, a few people, naturopaths and others used to recommend swallowing a whole clove raw.
Yeah, some people do it.
Which was interesting.
Folk medicine. It's very much folk medicine.
It would actually act as a time release through your entire gut, because your body would gradually, digest it.
You have to process it, because it is quite a hit. But yeah, if you don't like the taste for whatever reason, if it repeats on you, or if you have trouble, if it's too harsh for your stomach, it's actually good for your stomach too, even good for ulcers, believe it or not.
Yeah, and I think the challenge for me is I sometimes seem to have a little indigestion with too much garlic. Mm-hmm. So I wonder, it's one of those weird things. Same thing.
It's the
too many onions is the same thing. But I love them. It's just, as long as I take a digestive enzyme, I'm cool, and so is my body with those.
And
onions.
Sometimes it's people can't eat raw.
That's true.
Those foods raw.
So can really do stuff.
You want to use it to saute, or it's really yummy is baking your garlic and the actual
roasted garlic amazing.
And it just melts in your mouth. Some people put it on something after. It's just so yummy. It's like butter almost.
It's just like butter.
Totally
soft.
So those are just a few food tips, and
also the other thing I was remembering too, that was when we talk about, I'm not going to put this in the comment section, but we've been eating a boatload of broccoli and Brussels sprouts, and so those cruciferous vegetables are amazing also for helping your liver detoxify.
Yeah, broccoli is also good for your stomach. Broccoli sprouts are really good. I have actually a supplement, broccoli sprout supplement. And it's very beneficial for any kind of gastritis you might have, any kind of itis, esophagitis, even GERD, some reflux.
Encephalitis? Maybe not.
No.
Maybe
not. I don't know. But
I mean, that'd be interesting. Overall, reduction in inflammation should help all kinds of conditions. Any itis just means you're inflamed and irritated. So.
I heard a term just now, inflammaging. And that was David Perlmutter, Dr. David Perlmutter.
I know David Perlmutter.
Mark Hyman were discussing.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. We want to, and all those vegetables I just showed you will create anti-inflammation in your body. Will reduce inflammation in your body.
And we've been doing a lot of ginger and turmeric tea, which is extremely helpful. Just one a day. But man, I've noticed a big difference in my joints and things of that sort. It's pretty amazing. So
in the ancient texts, I think ginger has 500 plus, don't quote me on that, 500 plus uses and benefits. So it's an amazing herb plant. It's just amazing. I mean, let your food be your medicine for sure.
And most of us take that medicine at least 3 times a day, if not more. The other thing is that ginger. So if you've got 99 problems, ginger can probably solve 500 of them. Yeah.
So it's good for nausea. It's good for digestion. It's good for immune health. It's good for decreasing inflammation, as we just discussed. I'm not specifically sure if it addresses blood sugar directly, but I'm sure it does.
There's some of that, but there's also Siberian Ginseng and some of the other ginsengs.
Siberian Ginseng is really known for stress. It's an adaptogen, and it helps with stress management. So that is excellent. Siberian Ginseng. Most people don't don't have that, like they don't eat it.
You take it as a supplement pretty much.
Yeah, or in your tea, or some ginseng tea.
What was the other thing that I was thinking of? Cordyceps is a good one for immune health.
Absolutely. Your mushrooms, the
mushrooms.
shiitake mushrooms are really excellent for immune health. My sister always takes it when she's feeling like she's coming down with something.
Yeah.
And right now, if you're feeling like you're coming down with something, you better just start,
It was Cordyceps sinensis or something. And rhodiola was good for energy, from what I remember.
Yeah, rhodiola is calming, actually.
Yeah.
It's calming.
Oh, really? I also heard people using it for more energy. That's interesting.
Well, ashwagandha is also an Ayurvedic herb that it's again, adaptogen. Let me explain what adaptogen is. So you take it, and for example, you might be really hyper, so it calms you down. You might be really lethargic, so it kind of brings in energy into your body. So it adapts to what you need.
And I should make mention here that there maybe some of you are watching and commenting, but if you're watching from a group, we cannot see your comments. Kind of sad, but that's just the way the Book of Faces works. So
the Book of Faces, is that what Facebook is?
I call it Zook. I took it Zook Book or the Book of Faces.
Zook Book.
It's like the book of John, the Book of Matthew, and the Book of Zook. So.
The Book of Zook, the Zook Book.
Zook Book. Yeah, I got my first Zook book. Well, no, pre-Zook. My pre-Zook book.
What's your pre-Zook book?
My pre-Zook book is the Facebook that I got as a freshman, and I actually still have my physical copy.
Is that a yearbook? Because there's faces in it.
It was a book filled with the photos and short bios of every freshman coming into Harvard. And so many people used it almost like a book where they would survey who are they going to be their best friends and who would they like to date. And we called it was the Facebook. Do you have your Facebook?
Well, isn't that where he got the term from?
Well, yeah, because he was a student there, which is really funny.
Yeah, exactly. So it's so these are for the people that want to accelerate and the highly ambitious. You choose your friends.
Get your Facebook on. But it's also become a place where there's a distribution of a lot of incorrect information, conspiracy theories, political memes, and a whole host of really angry posts and responses to people, which I encountered yesterday.
Are we talking about Facebook, or are we talking about your Harvard pre-alumni?
No, the Facebook platform into which we are broadcasting today.
Well, yes. I mean, that is a concern. I actually had to ask someone to not send me certain types of materials, Messenger, and I said it quite gracefully and considerately. I said, this is not what I don't sort of prescribe to what you're touting. And so please don't send me this kind of information. And again, I was very respectful on both sides.
Good. I mean, that is the way to be, is to show some level of respect. Then again, I have a little trouble with people spreading falsehoods and then infecting other people with beliefs that are really against the preservation of human life. So that's where you have to kind of draw the line a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that is extremely dangerous. And that is, there's a lot of that going on, though.
Oh, yeah. My favorite one is the, masks cause people to die. So that's
well, I think we talked about that last week. It was another not a great infographic, but a really bad infographic about, if you wear a mask, you're not gonna last.
Yeah. Well, here, in fact, I'm gonna try to share this only because I'm experimenting and playing with StreamYard these days. Let's see if it works. It does, and you show our pictures are still there.
Coronavirus, deadly mask claim.
That is awesome. Now I just want to see if I can scroll through this a little bit. Where is it? Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Okay, so the deadly mask claims. I love this stuff because this is the whole thing, and it's from the UK, as you can see the little symbol for the tube there. And the whole thing about it is the BBC actually has a disinformation team, which I find fascinating. And the notion of the harmful carbon dioxide is pretty spurious because the reality, and they have actually had to take these things off. The dangers of face masks, that was a Wikipedia article, and they actually had to say Wikipedia actually put in no evidence as this. And the whole thing behind it is basically that, when you think about it, if it is true that masks cause disease and death, we really ought to have a whole host of doctors and nurses dying every day in every hospital.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about,
yeah. And so this notion, I think it's funny because people sort of use this, here's another fellow, this pseudoscience, in order to justify not complying with information that supports the public health. So I just find that stuff to be fascinating. And just to see that, oh, this is fun. I can bring you back to there. I bring you back again.
Bring you back into the studio. Yeah. I mean, we talked about that last week, how, I would have people passed out on my floor downstairs because they're wearing masks.
All your aides are wearing masks.
Their flag. Please help.
No, it
doesn't happen. It doesn't.
Take me to the hospital quickly, but don't take me to the hospital because those people wear masks. So.
Yeah.
So, and I would say, I mean, this is my sarcastic side coming through, but I would say for those people who are really opposed to masks, the next time you need a surgery or visit a hospital or visit your doctor's office, make sure that nobody wears a mask so that you can feel perfectly safe. So.
I saw this person going crazy. I mean, it's like these viral videos, person going crazy in a store and they're saying, I can't breathe, I can't wear this mask.
I remember that one.
Trader Joe's. Then.
She had amazing lung capacity for somebody who couldn't breathe. I mean, I heard no trace of wheezing, rales, bronchi, or anything that I would listen to.
Exactly.
There's no bubbling or gurgling.
Exactly. So it's it is a political issue. It is it's a health issue.
Why does it have to be a political issue?
Shouldn't be.
I have very conservative friends who wear masks. So they don't understand why it's a political issue.
Well, I think from the top
intellect
the top down though. There is someone at the White House who isn't wearing a mask and wasn't really promoting it. So I think there's that. I think we don't want to go into the breakdown.
No.
Political spectrum, but there is a spectrum. There are people who are logical and common sense, regardless of what the political affiliation is.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. It's just using common sense.
Yeah, I think the degree to which someone gets really emotional about putting on a mask it's a little bizarre to me. It is almost as if mask usage unmasks some emotional problems that somebody may be having.
Yeah, it's just an excuse, really. It's an excuse for.
It's an excuse to rant and rave.
Yeah,
it's an excuse to express anger. I
think also when we were having the protests and the subsequent riots and looting, that was something else. Of course, that was repressed anger that had to be let out.
And that had an effect too. I don't deny there was an effect to that, because if you had people close together not wearing masks, or even close together wearing masks, and it can have an effect too. But the big one really so far this year has been Memorial Day first, protest second, and I'm willing to bet that 2 to 3 weeks after this 4th of July, Independence Day weekend, we're going to see a further increase in cases.
There is something called there's something like a long delay effect. The long delay, and like a dosage, infective dose. So someone who's a low risk symptomatic can pass it on to another low risk symptomatic, can pass it on to a low. So you've got this span of time, and then they affect a high risk person who will get it right away. So and of course they're saying, of course, it's the young people that are spreading it because they are because they're out more and they're feeling more invincible, unfortunately. Yeah. And so that's what's happening, unfortunately.
Well, I think there's also, when you're young, you have this sense of, the whole thing, we were all young, we were sort of young and stupid and taking risks, and
exactly.
you think you have the illusion that you are immortal.
Yeah, and somehow there needs to be stronger education and a stronger message, like you might be, but other people aren't.
Do you really want to take this home to grandma or to your uncle and see them die?
Yeah, that's you may be, but other people aren't. Or the person that you're next to may not be. I mean, it just goes on and on. Like we talked about those infographics in Indonesia, and of course, if one person's wearing a mask, if you're wearing a mask, you're protecting the other person, and the
exactly.
other person, yeah,
because there, I mean, it is clear that viral particles can go through cloth masks. That's not the point. The point is to prevent the spread of the droplets to other people.
Yeah.
But most of the arguments against masks are, it does nothing to protect you. No, you're protecting other people, which in turn will mean that those people and they're the other ones with whom they are in contact will not spread it to the entire society and eventually come back to you. So.
It's interesting also. I was hearing about, the beaches being closed on the 4th of July weekend here in California. I'm not sure.
Ours are still open, but
okay, LA County then, LA County, and which is a shame in some ways because it is outdoors, which is a good thing because there's less tendency to spread it if you're outdoors, and you get the vitamin D that's good for your immune health. But it's the after, or the going to the bathroom, or the going to the store on the way, or the restaurant,
public places.
Yeah. So it's the after beach time that is the concern, really, more than anything.
Yeah. Or during, if people are too close and somebody runs up to you and gives you the big hug and a smooch and that sort of thing. Haven't seen you in months.
Yeah. But there's less tendency. So if you're outdoors, and that's another thing, they were doing some studies about in New York about the protests, and they don't have the results yet, unfortunately. This is a month ago, which I find odd, but they don't have the results of these tests, how it was spread, like they were trying to track. And so wind would be a benefit. If they were outside and there was wind, it would be a benefit because it would carry these particles away.
Depending on which direction the wind blows.
Back at you, it's maybe not the best thing.
I do not want to be downwind of a bunch of people yelling with COVID. So
exactly. So,
but singing is another one too. I've seen this with choirs and others. We have huge groups of people standing together singing in a choir, and you just say, "Well, you're singing in the choir." The question is, will you acquire the virus?
Choir, yes. I saw that in Texas, I believe it was, and it was a large choir, and 3 of them were infected. 3, as of yesterday, could be more today.
Yeah, and you got your Secret Service people are infected too, and it just goes on and on. So it's one of those things where it's better to be cautious than to throw caution to the wind. Getting back to our wind comment.
I mean, you look at specific states and specific countries where they really were very rigid in their quarantine, and they're doing much better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, lesson learned. Why can't we just?
Well, I remember a lot of people talking, oh, Sweden was wonderful because Sweden had herd immunity. This and that. Well, the death rate in Sweden was like 27 per 100,000 or something like that. And in the US, it's like 25 or 26. In neighboring Denmark, it's 9.
Yeah. So it was an experiment that failed. And
now they're trying to impose restrictions.
Maybe too late. I saw something about a public health official talking about it might be too late to in this country to
I mean that may or may not be the case. I mean the funny thing is most of the information that we really need to know about the COVID-19, the SARS virus, won't be available for another 2 to 3 years. So I mean unless you've got that DeLorean with the flux capacitor and to go to 2022 2023, you better be safe rather than relying on future information.
Yeah, and it's the only predictable thing about this is it's unpredictable, and we just don't know. And so, I mean, I do, because I have workers here. Do pay attention to specific. We actually have private calls for healthcare workers that weekly calls, and these are health officials that are right in the trenches that are creating policy as we speak. So I'm privy to those calls, and it's less hysterical. It's more very calm, and this is what we need to do, and make sure you do it. And everyone, of course, who's working in this field has to do this because they'll get sick. they'll lose their job. It's just all of the above.
And it's important to get information about what's working now. That's the most important.
Exactly. What's working now.
And what's working now may not be the same thing that was 4 or 5 months ago. So.
Yeah, or in 2 months, who knows?
And you had mentioned before we got on the air that I had mentioned something last week about that scarring goes away in lung tissue. And if I did, I misspoke, because I've known about the lung tissue scarring because lung issues have been big in my family for many years. And once you do have scar tissue, it doesn't go away. You can surgically remove it. But the problem with scar tissue is it tends to linger and cause more scar tissue, and it's highly innervated. So scar tissue in general is very painful. So.
Right. So I'm glad you clarified that, because maybe it was just.
It might have been with something else. I'll go back and look at it.
Yeah.
But sometimes I just don't got no time for that.
Yeah. And we really, what we were talking about specifically are the long-term effects. Even though if someone has recovered, quotation mark, they're not, in many ways, they have not. There's other things that will be long-term and maybe never go away.
Yeah, because we found that one of the things that has been seen in a number of patients who have recovered from COVID-19, and depending on which strain you have too, because there's a whole amino acid mutation going on. One of those things is simply the fact that for some it actually attacks the kidneys or the cardiovascular system more so than the lungs, which is pretty scary if you're compromised in any of those areas.
So, well, there's the ACE, ACE2 concern as well. So, I mean, it's really.
Well, I mean, I don't. As I said before, we just don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
So, the best you can do is deal with frontline workers. Like I have a chiropractic colleague, a friend of mine, Cheryl, who's out in Maryland, and she's married to a nurse. And so she likes to debunk a lot of these things that are posted online, because she just finds that the misinformation is really hurting people.
Well, yeah, it is. And not only is it hurting people, it's going to hurt the hospital system.
Yeah.
And it's, if people are taking risks like that, it's just, we're never going to get a handle on it.
The challenge that we have right now is too, in this country, is in terms of PPE, personal protective equipment, there's a shortage. We're okay for the month of July, but once July is over, there's something like a 25 or 30 million piece shortage of protective equipment for next month.
It's now being called something else. And I just heard it from this health professional, this public health official. And it's now being called something else. And I wish I had that. Like, it's not PPE anymore.
It's not personal protective equipment.
No, it is that, but it's a gun.
Is it called CYA equipment?
No, it's called like. I'll get back to you. We'll post it.
Get back to me on that. And your red onion.
On that.
Get me back to your red onion. Red onion and the new name.
I don't have everything in my brain.
Oh, come on. You have a big brain. Just use it.
No, I can't remember everything. I mean, and those who think they can, they're just fooling you. So, we are being challenged for sure. And so what, anything you can do to calm yourself down is beneficial.
Let's see. I'm trying to find somebody. Somebody mentioned us in a comment. They're probably in one of the groups. That's the problem that I find with these streaming things. Let's see. What did Terry have to say? Are you still there?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I'm. Can you
see?
So
I hit something which was a comment, and it was a comment from our previous broadcast, and it started a watch party. So you got to watch out when you're broadcasting live.
There's some interesting information about like our diets and how poor our diets are, and how it affects brain chemistry, and also
I believe that. I mean, you can get plaquing of some pretty nasty stuff.
And also there's sort of a separation of some of the lobes, like I believe the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. And so it's causing people to be more erratic, more aggressive,
and
more divisive,
just
by what we eat.
So that is very interesting. So if food is medicine, a lot of people are taking the wrong medicine in terms of mental, emotional, and physical brain health.
I mean, we knew that with sugar. What was the
Yeah.
what was that? The defense. What was that?
The receptors or the
No, the cookie. It was some sort of treat, some sort of chocolate treat, and there was there was a
the Oreo?
case. There was a case where someone killed someone. They were like,
Oh yeah, it was the defense. It wasn't the Oreo defense.
Twinkie, the Twinkie defense.
Twinkie defense.
Twinkie
Yeah.
defense.
It wasn't that chocolate goodness. It was just the Twinkie.
Yeah, I mean, how sugar and some of these like other chemicals that are found in all these fast foods and processed foods can totally affect brain chemistry.
But the good news is that the food distribution system seems to be working a little bit better because we're not finding the same shortages anymore. And I think there's a gradual adaptation going on in our food supply providers to practice safe physical distancing in places like meatpacking plants and even in the fields. The fields are better off because they're not indoors next to a bunch of people and potentially the occasional diseased carcass that may be coming by at a meatpacking plant.
Right. But I think the warning is stay away from packaged foods as much as possible. And even fresh foods, foods that have nutrient value that can make your body work and your brain work effectively.
And I will tell you, we take fresh conventional if we can't get fresh organic.
Yeah.
And just wash carefully.
Or fresh frozen, which means it's
fresh frozen. Actually, frozen. Actually, I take organic frozen after. If I can't get organic, I take organic frozen. If I can't get organic frozen, I'll take conventional non-organic.
Well, I'll tell you, my donut donut aid,
the donut aid,
or donut nursing aid is no longer bringing donuts. He brought jicama the other day.
Oh, now we're making improvement.
I know. You have to sort of be an example for people if you want change to happen. Yeah.
And jicama is just so awesome. We often have it here just cut up with like a little bit of Mexican spice, like a tahini or something like that. And it's got a sweetness to it that you don't see in a lot of root vegetables outside of maybe beets and parsnips.
He was asking for tahini, and I said, no, I have tahini, but I don't have tahini.
No, tahini. You got to get some tahini to keep your aides happy. So,
I guess so. Better than donuts, that's for sure.
This particular aid has made leaps and bounds in terms of.
I know. It's fantastic. And he's now, again, no longer donuts, but his mother is making these Filipino buns with, it's a purple flower. I keep on forgetting.
I don't know what it is. Yeah,
but it's a step closer to healthier food.
It's a step up.
Yeah, it's a step up. So it's just, eat healthy. Let your brain do what it's supposed to be doing, not being clouded with bad chemicals.
What was the thing that you see in Alzheimer's patients? It's a plaquing. It's like amalgam, or no, not amalgam. Can't remember it. I'll put that down in here later. But there is plaquing, not of the arteries, but plaquing of the actual axons in the brain that cause a lot of neurological problems and memory issues.
And of course, dementia and Alzheimer's and cognitive function has been, we've been seeing it more in younger people.
Oh, yeah.
Also, as a result, not only of the diet, but I think the diet has a major role.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I may try and share my screen one more time. If
you
I
have
can
something more?
Well, yeah, it's the mutation of the virus.
Very tricky. Very tricky.
There's one from Scripps, which is pretty good. Let me see if I can just share this with you. Share screen, and I need to share the tab. Will it let me share the tab?
We are your source.
I'm trying to get over here to Scripps.
For health information.
Where is Scripps? The Sweden not working. Coronavirus, the deadly masks. Gosh darn it. Oh, I think this is the right one. Let me double check. No, that's the wrong one. Anyway, well, I'll give it a try in a little bit. That's not the one I wanted. This one actually is about India, where they had mutations of the virus. There is another one, but I'm just going to stop the screen share on this one. I'm just going to remove it.
This is what we had we had fears about this,
Oh, yeah.
in the beginning,
So what I do remember about what I was going to show you, I got all the specifics, and I will put this down in the comment section here within Total Health Live, which, by the way, if you want to get in here, you can join. We will bring you in. A few of you have tried to get into the new normal diet, but since you did not pay for the program, you're not there. You need to come to Total Health Live or Coaching for Health for that matter. So
Total Health Live is free.
It's free, but we do keep it as a private group to avoid some of the crazy stuff that is being pushed on the internet.
So it's a safe place. This
is a safe place for reliable health information.
Yes. So while you're staying safe at home, you can come and join us on Friday afternoon.
Be well informed. Be informed so that you can come across like a reasonable, well-educated individual. So one of the things that this was talking about was the strain of the virus. There are 2 amino acids that are found in the Corona-19 virus, the mutation, which I think is the S mutation, or G, it might be G actually. Mm-hmm. And from what I recall, these 2 amino acids have mutated such that the spike, so if you have your coronavirus here, the spike that sits out of this thing that penetrates the cell membrane.
It kind of looks like this.
Yeah, the older one used to sometimes break off. And so it didn't spread as much. But the newer strain of the virus had a mutation in the amino acids, which made the spike stronger. And so now this particular strain of the COVID-19 virus is 10 times more infective than the previous one. Now, the symptom severity has not increased, but it's far more effective at getting around. So,
yeah, I think the symptom pattern looked a little bit different too, didn't it?
It's changing, but not dramatically so. But yeah, I mean, and some people, because I have a nephew who had the COVID-19 infection, and the nurses were calling twice a day, every day. He had to be quarantined. My niece had to be quarantined, and her husband, and it was a little scary for a while. And I don't know what his long-term effects are going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I did talk to my brother again.
Oh yeah, you have another family member.
Yeah, my brother who had a stroke, COVID-related stroke, and in April, and he is getting better. But again, we don't know how long or what else is going to affect him and how much of a long-term effect it will have. So. Yeah.
I think we'll be tracking people who have been affected for decades from now, and depending on what strain they were infected with, and learn a lot, because the likelihood, with the way the world is so interconnected nowadays, the likelihood of future pandemics is far higher now than it was, say, 10, 20, 30 years ago. It is.
What did I hear about a pig virus now? Just this week it was released.
Oh, piggy. Don't eat pigs. There goes your bacon.
Yeah.
But it's not porky pig virus. But that's all.
My brother-in-law, who works at a library in Toronto, he's a librarian, and they opened their libraries up this week to the public as well. And the public can not using books or anything, not picking up books, but using the computers there. So my sister
probably wipe those things down very well.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they're wearing masks and everything. They have to, yeah. But my sister was afraid that, he'd come home with something. And I said, well, I hope he just comes home with the bacon and nothing more.
Yeah, bring home the bacon, because you need. Because librarians don't make a lot of money, so you need to make sure that they are able to work.
Well, he's in a supervisory capacity, so I guess he does okay. And it's
he can bring back more bacon and no pig viruses.
But yeah, it just, some of it doesn't make sense. I know we're shutting down certain things, but in some areas where it's growing, they're still planning to open up.
I think it strikes me as incredibly unusual that anybody would want to decouple the health of people from economic activity, because until such time as you put the pandemic in its place, people are just going to be too afraid to go out and frequent the various businesses. So I don't see many people going back to the old normal anytime soon, because the new normal has taken hold. So.
The new normal will be a new way of life. It's
cautious. I
mean, you think about watching movies or watching TV, and you think like, what are they going to be like in the future? We have, unless of course we get a hold of this and we cure it. I mean, will we be watching all the movies forever?
AMC, the movie chain AMC, actually reversed its policy. They were scheduled to open July 15th with no masks required, and people were so angry they reversed their policy and require that people coming to the movies wear masks. But I don't know that I'll be going to the movies anytime soon.
I belong to this nextdoor.com, which is sort of like a Facebook, but for your local area. And I saw this post. It said, I'm afraid. I was very afraid going into Costco the other day.
Yeah.
So I drove by Costco the other day, actually, because I took my car for a little spin. And there were no lineups. People were going in. And that's what this person was sort of complaining about. Like, people are just going in and they're not distancing, and they're not really doing what Trader Joe's apparently does, just limits the people in
I think limiting people coming in and going out is a very good strategy. The other thing that I lost my train of thought. Something about limiting capacity. Vendors who bring things outdoors and the curbside delivery and things like that.
Good.
That's actually very helpful.
That's good. Yeah.
I think that, we may get to a point where there is, let's say the pandemic disappears within 18, 24 months or so, and people get lazy again. And then we go back to, then another one comes flying through maybe in 5 or 6 years from now. I think it'll be, it'll be sort of this double shock for people that something could possibly happen again. But we more than likely, as a population, looking at all of society, will get complacent at some point and let our guard down.
I think that's happened already.
It's definitely happened already.
Yeah.
The tourists who have come from Arizona and Nevada primarily have invaded our little island, Coronado Island. And I do not want to go anywhere on Orange Avenue, which is our main street, because probably 50-60% of the people are not wearing masks. And we have to take care of one business thing today before the store closes at 5. And I'm not looking forward to going to that store, but we will practice as much social distancing as possible. And the good news is we can just drop off an item, have it repaired, and we'll pick it up next week.
Yeah.
And the beach is the same thing. I mean, people have been pretty good social distancing. The problem is they congregate at the stairwells and the piers and things like that.
Well, that's what I was saying. It's these junctures, whether it's the bathrooms or
the nexus where you have to funnel into something. That's where the problem.
That's the problem. Yeah. I saw a man walking across like a bridge over the freeway, and he was wearing a mask, and there was no one in sight. And I felt like saying, hey, you can take a break for a few minutes, because you don't have to if there's nobody in sight. And
you may not want to take a break, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's everyone's prerogative, but I think it's okay if you're going to wear a mask. And
if there's nobody within eyesight of you or so, and I mean, people, there have been varying reports on the distance to which droplets can travel. Some say 6 feet, some say 2 meters, 1 meter actually.
It's the same thing. 6 feet and 2 meters is the same thing.
18. Well, it was 1 meter was the thing they were talking about.
Oh,
so in Sweden, it was 1 meter. Here in the U.S., it's 6 feet. But there's some that say it can go as far as 18 feet. And so that's why you also need to have masks. And don't take the mask off when you cough or sneeze.
Yeah, no, that's
do that. I feel a sneeze. I feel a cough coming on. They take the mask down, cough, and put it back up.
I mean, that's the antithesis of what you should be doing. I mean, you should not be doing that, and you should also be covering your nose, not just your mouth.
Yeah, I've seen people. The funny one, I've seen one. There was one guy on a flight who actually had it covering his eyes. So I think he wanted to use a sleep mask.
I've noticed that a lot of the homemade ones kind of lose their elasticity, and sometimes they slip down. I've seen that. So just make sure that you have a functional mask. Well, I heard someone say that it would be a good idea for retailers to start advertising on the masks.
For who?
Retailers.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Just think of all those billboards walking around. It's like when somebody parks their panel truck at the end of your neighborhood. Get your title loans here, or gutter cleaning for $5.
Yeah. We're going to put Total Health Talk.
Total Health Talk.
Yeah, that's my show that I did for 14 years.
Total Health Live now.
Total Health Live.
Until you can get all those VHS things converted. So.
Yeah, my sister sent me a link, and it was a picture of a sloth. I love sloth. Who doesn't love sloth? Well, I'm sure there's people that don't love sloth.
What?
They're just the cutest sloth. A sloth.
Oh, a sloth.
They're just the cutest animals, and they
be lazy.
So,
wear a mask.
No, that it said. We'll get there when we get there.
Oh, I like that. We'll get there when we get there.
I mean, it's exactly how we should be thinking in life. Great. I think in life.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there.
We'll get there.
Hey, speaking of we get there when we get there, we've been on for about 46 minutes. So
yeah,
I think we planned on. We're trying to make these shorter, like 25 minutes or something, a little more bite time. But we get talking, and we like to jabber with each other, as you can tell. But hopefully you got some value out of this today, and are at least a little more aware of the circumstances that we find ourselves in, and can boost your immune system with some of Monika's great tips. And she'll put stuff on the red onion and the PPE new name, and I'll put a study or two below this. I could even put it in Coaching for Health too, since you've got a wider audience over there.
Coaching for Health.
Yeah, Coaching for Health. The Monika.
So stay safe this holiday weekend, and
stay safe. You can still be social, but be physically distant. And don't be distant next week, because we'll be here at the same bat time and same bat station. So
the same time, same place. Have a good.
Enjoy your 4th. Stay independent of COVID-19.